Hey there, Rich Frankel, Bross Frankel. So for a change, I've got some good Social Security news. Uh, when we prove disability, we have to prove not only that you can't do any of the work that you've done in the past 5, 15 years. Social Security recently updated it to just looking back at the last 5 years. But in most cases, we also have to prove that there are no other jobs that exist in the national economy that you could possibly do. Now, common sense would say we would talk to experts, we would look at the job market, but Social Security has taken administrative notice of an ancient Department of Labor publication called the Dictionary of Occupational Titles. You can find this online. The problem with this is that it really hasn't been updated since, in a lot of cases, the 70s. And so there have always been these jobs on there that Social Security can use based on the law to deny claims that just don't exist anymore. An example of this is an addresser, who is somebody who hand addresses envelopes, labels in an office rather than using a typewriter, computer, label maker, printer, anything like that. Another example is a surveillance system monitor. Now, I don't mean the kind of security guard who works in casinos and watches people for card counting. We're thinking about the sort of mythical position that exists solely in a mall with one red button. You don't actually have to do rounds. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't check anybody in or out. You're just looking at closed circuit screens. And if you see something, you press the big red button. Another example of this is nut sorter. So nut sorter is a manufacturing job that is on an assembly line and sorts through good nuts and bad nuts. And the reality is, in today's workplaces, all of these jobs are nuts. We know this as attorneys. Judges know this. The only people who don't know it are the poor clients who have to go through this sort of game of trying to prove that they can't do jobs that don't actually exist. So this last week, Social Security put out an emergency message after getting their butts kicked up and down in the courts by practitioners like me and other attorneys who take these cases to federal court, where federal judges have been looking at this over the years and saying, maybe there aren't really nut sorters in that way. Maybe modern manufacturing has improved that process so that there aren't people sorting by hand. Or maybe there aren't a whole lot of people who are doing document preparation for microfiche readers anymore, or calling using a rotary phone or an actual switchboard in a company. So Social Security actually finally caved to a certain extent and acknowledged that there are certain jobs that they're no longer going to use to find somebody that somebody is not disabled, including nut sorter, surveillance system monitor, hostess of a dance hall, silver wrapper, tube operator, one of my favorite, the magnetic tape winder. So this is some good news. We don't have to worry about some of these jobs anymore, and instead, Social Security, to meet its burden at step 5 of showing that there are other jobs people can do, is going to have to work a little bit harder. It's rare that we get this kind of good news, where something that I've been fighting for 20 years and some of my colleagues who have been in this longer have fought their entire career, probably back to when the Dictionary of Occupational Titles was relevant and fresh, no longer have to do. So it's a tiny bit of good news. Will make it a little bit easier to support claims and a little bit harder for Social Security to deny. Wanted to share.